All right, we're going to talk about something I'm starting to do. This is like the introduction to that. And what it's called Slot Channel Spotlight. Slot Channel Spotlight. And there's two reasons why I'm doing this. One, it's not directly having to do with slot channels, but slot in general. If you ever go to a casino, you'll notice that there's three basic, a full-fledged casino. There's three ways you can gamble in the casino. One is, of course, going to be slots. The other will be the table games, and the third would be sports books, where you can bet on games and other things, horse races, a lot of different things you can bet on the sports book. And it's almost like a site, but they have TVs, you can watch the games while you're betting and things like that. But if you ask anybody that runs a casino, they'll tell you that who pays the bills are the slots. The slots pays the bills. And if a casino was put in a situation where they could only do one type of gambling, it would be the slots, other than the other two. So that's one reason. The other reason is, if you watch slot channels, there's a lot of things in the background that you don't see. Now, my channel isn't a slot channel. Mine is really geared for the whole experience of a casino. I like to say from the parking lot to the nearest slots. I like to give you tips, strategies, ideas, whatever, on helping you make a better experience when you're at the casino. And so I understand, because some of our videos, if you go over to my other channel, which is with Sunshine, which is Sunshine and E, we've done some slot content on that channel. And what you see may be a small portion of what they actually done. Slot channels can actually go to a casino. It might spend 5 hours, and you might only end up with maybe 4 or 5 videos that might be 20 minutes long. So they spent a lot of time and a lot of money. That's why I have so much respect for people that do slots. That's why I'm doing this, to give them their props for putting all that energy and that money, because sometimes it can go bad. With slot, it's funny because if you win a lot of money, it's real exciting. But if you don't, it's not that exciting, and you can lose and not actually put that content out. So later on, when you see these big jackpots or these hand pays, you figure, oh, they're way ahead. Well, they could just be getting some back of what they lost, and they didn't show you because it wasn't really that interesting. So that's why I have this big affinity for slot play. I watch a lot of slot channels, and some I watch a little regular, some I watch every now and then, some if I just capture, and that's kind of how I figure out what slot channels I watch. And I'm real interested in different, but I'm going to break down 4 of the things that I look for when it comes to a slot channel. The first thing I like to call face. And the reason why I say face is I like to see the slot person's face, the actual reactions, their facial expression. They don't have to show their face throughout the whole thing. But when there's a jackpot or a hand pay or starting off a video, and there's a particular slot channel I'm going to mention. It's called F&S Slots. And I remember watching them years ago, kind of when they first started off. And I remember him doing a video. It's a father and son. I guess that's why it's F&S Slots. And the son pretty much runs pretty much everything. He probably does all the editing. But the father is in it, and he's funny too. He's good. Check him out. This is a nice channel to check out, but check them out. But I remember them never really seeing him. And then one video, I think it was to the end of the video, he said, hey, I'm getting comments about what I'm looking like. So he went out and said, hey, this is what I look like. He said, I just came from the barbershop, got a fresh cut. And from that time on, he's kind of been showing himself on. So that's number one. I like to see the face of the person that's doing this slot. So that's one thing I look for. The next thing is good vibes. I love to have people have good vibes when you're watching it. You feel that positive or good vibes. And one slot channel that seems to do that, and he's probably well known, anybody that watches slot channels will know this guy, it's NG Slots. And he's real excited. You hear the vibes, even when it's not doing so well, he still kind of puts himself in a situation where it's, pretty decent. He wants to give that feeling. And so I would suggest you go and check some out. Now, if you didn't notice, I'm, bringing up those little pictures of that so you have an idea of what they look like, and you got the name so you can go check those slot channels out. The next one is info. And what I mean by information, but just info, is when a slot player is playing, they kind of show you and tell you about the game. This is what I need to get a feature or a free game, or look for this. When you see this, you know a free game is coming, things like that. And a good channel I find is The Big Payback. And The Big Payback, he goes into a definition of why, because there's a couple times I had to roll back and say, why did this game go into a free game? And he'd say, hey, when it makes a certain sound, or I think there's one in Huff and Puff where the helmet is not full helmet, it's kind of cut off at the top. That lets you know, hey, that free game is you're gonna get a free game. So info is good, giving information about it. Another thing is what I call hang time. And what simple as that is, what kind of slot player would you see them say, I wouldn't mind hanging out with them? They'd be fun hanging out. And there's a lot of them. But the particular one I want to bring up is one is flipping and dipping. Now, the reason why I say that is because I hear a lot of slot players that are great with their subscribers and people that notice them and say, and you can hear them talk about, hey, how's it going? And he'd talk to them, but you really don't see the person they're talking to. And you don't see them. They're just having a conversation. I've seen the guy from Flip and Dip, I think his name is John, and he actually, you see him with I've seen him with other slot channels talking. You see them talking. I see him talking with strangers, people he just meet in the casino, and they're doing things. And he even had family members. And another thing he hit a big jackpot, and he took the family out. I think he rented a boat, and they went out and they get in the water and had a good time. And so that's what I like to see. That's the other things I like to see, is I like to see that full experience at the casino. Another channel that did that, I haven't seen this person in a while. I don't know if what the deal is, because he hasn't released the videos in a while. And his channel is called, it started off one thing, but I think it ended up being Richard Bot Slots and More. And I used to like watching his channel because you see him pulling in the driveway of a casino. You see him, and he shows the room he stays in. He shows sometimes eating food, and he also does slots. So I like that full package, because that's what I like experiencing. That's why I like to show people some of the things you can do and things that happen at the casino, not just the slots itself. So those are going to be the things that I look for, those 4 things, and other little things. But you don't have to have all 4, but at least 2 or 3 of them that you're really solid on. And I'm going to do what I call a slot channel spotlight. And I'm actually going to put in the description, a link to one of them, the ones I do a spotlight of. I'm going to put it in the description so you can kind of get a feel of what that's all about. But, check me out, follow me, like, subscribe, and, you can comment below, all that, because once I get this channel really going, it's going to help you if you listen to a lot of these things I say to help you have a better experience. I'm never going to claim that I'm going to help you make money and get those hand pays. I'm just going to give you a better experience probably than you usually get. So you might not win a bunch of money, but you're not going to lose as much if you follow some of the things that I say. And I'm also going to have a special guest from my other channel, Sunshine, which is very experienced in the casino. And we'll talk about some of the things that, when it comes to casinos, what, some things you should do and what you shouldn't do, what you should look for to help you out and have a better experience. So like I said, go ahead and go to the description below and check out one of my slot channel spotlights.